died right after birth. The doctor is about to bury him. Suddenly a bird flies in from the window. It seems to have a premonition, constantly pecking on his chest. He miraculously resurrects. From then on, he has a magical connection with the birds. The birds are also very close to him, even building a nest in his bedroom. He's worried that the ceiling fan can hurt the bird, so he pulls out the power cord. Later, he devotes his life to protecting birds. Until one day, the birds begin to attack each other, strangely dying. Even baby birds is also suddenly deaf. He discovers that the cause is phone towers from which the radiation affected the brains of birds and caused mass deaths. Pakshi protests against the usage of modern mobile phones, but the public dismisses and mocks him. There is no way he can only go to sue. Unexpectedly, the official colluded with the media company to hide this story. Next, when the inspector comes to take measurements, it detects that the radiation value is within the safe range. Finally, the court returns the lawsuit. Seeing these birds die more and more in the garden are all their corpses. He is very heartbroken. He resentfully climbs onto the phone towers, ties a belt and, without hesitation, hangs himself. Countless birds are crying around him. Not long after, his soul slowly comes out of his body. First, his soul returns to the garden. By absorbing the souls of all the deceased birds in the city, he becomes a vengeful entity. But humans do not know bad things are going to happen. Shortly after, the mobile phones begin to fly into the sky. That happens in markets, on buses, on the streets, in phone shops. The whole city is in chaos. A man wakes up to find he is surrounded by his cell phone. He is a phone retail store owner. Now he tries to escape the phones, but to no avail. Suddenly many birds appear on the screen. He is dumbfounded. Then the phones move closer to him, eventually turning into a storm that envelops him. A phone is plugged straight into his mouth. In an instant, countless phones run straight at him. He's exploded and dies. Dr. Vasigaran and his assistant comes to the scene to investigate. Through analysis, his android humanoid assistant, Neelila, discovers it's a fragment of the cell phone. Vasigaran analyzes what happened during the past 2 days and determines the main culprit is the cell phone. In a scientific council, Vasigaran suggests reactivating the robot Chitty. But the plan is opposed by Bora, so the council only agrees to use the armed forces. Fighters cover the sky. Tanks and cannons are also ready. At the same time, a giant bird appears. It destroys phone towers around the city and wreaks havoc on the public. Vasigaran receives a phone call. The Home Minister Kumar gives permission for Vasigaran to activate Chitty. The military opens fire to attack, but to no avail. A giant bird's foot kick that destroys the armored vehicle, a club that can damage hundreds of people. It flies up into the sky. Everyone becomes a dough being kneaded. At this moment, the robot hero, Chitty, appears in time. He spreads a giant net to keep everyone safe. The giant bird towards him. He throws the net into the air. The giant bird cannot avoid it and is caught alive. After a while, it turns into countless phones directly surrounding Chitty. A moment later, Chitty breaks the siege, flies out. The cell phone turns into a huge claw chasing behind him. While in pursuit, Chitty jumps onto an armored car, launching cannons to fire. Unexpectedly, the cell phones have incredible resilience capacity, continue to chase Chitty, swallowing both Chitty and the car by its large mouth. During that critical moment, Chitty makes a huge explosion, but this bird is like an immortal. The remaining phones retreat and reform. Chitty, who runs out of battery, takes refuge in 3 antennas at a space station. The bird tries to follow, but is repelled by the antennas. Chitty informs Vasigaran about this incident and confirms that the phones are powered by an aura, specifically a concentrated massive negative charged with electromagnetic properties. Since the space station was streaming positive charged ions into space, the bird was repelled. Vasigaran builds a photon synthesizer that projects positive charge, intending to neutralize the charge of the bird. The group confronts the bird and drains it of power. The phones take up a humanoid form as the deceased ornithologist Pakshi. Chitty tries to convince Pakshi not to hurt the public, but Pakshi wishes to punish them. Chitty has Pakshi captured and contained. The news spreads to the council, which decides to build an army of such robots for the military. Bora, who becomes angered by Chitty's victory, releases Pakshi's spirit from the synthesizer. Pakshi possesses Vasigaran and attacks the public again, but Chitty refuses to attack his creator, so he is beaten into scrap metal. Luckily, Neela gets the red chip and reprograms Chitty to his evil 2.0 alter ego, after altering it to not harm the innocent and commanding him only to fight Pakshi. Pakshi traps 80,000 people in a football stadium. Chitty interferes and fights Pakshi's bird form with his army. Pakshi turns into countless robots and Chitty turns into countless bullets. Pakshi transforms into a large bird, while Chitty turns into a large orb. Pakshi transforms into a giant, and Chitty turns the magnet to absorb all the metals. The two are fighting for a while, but still can't decide who wins. As Chitty runs out of charge, Pakshi turns into his winged form and creates several bird drones. The drones tear the robots into pieces, but before Pakshi can summon radiation, he's interrupted by one of Chitty's creations, the action figure bot Cuddy. Released into the stadium by Neela, the Cuddy bots mount themselves on ducks, forcing Pakshi to stand down. The Cuddy self-destruct and destroy Pakshi's drones. After Vasigaran is released from possession, Pakshi is led to the space station where he is destroyed. Vasigaran recovers in the hospital and tells Vijay Kumar that he feels Pakshi Rajan was a virtuous person who became a victim of the corrupt society. He also suggests that not everyone should limit the use of phones and conserve the lives of birds as much as possible. Chitty, now restored to its original version, begins a relationship with Neela. This review is over. Thank you and see you later.